Hey folks, how's it going today? I'm just getting it set up here with the recording, making sure we're all good here. The functions of this meeting room have actually changed, so I'm making sure the notes and everything have been selected for us here. Looks like we're good. We're good to go. So yeah, so today we're going to be doing a bit of insight into the sales process when it comes to December, a little bit different than what we normally see. And as I just let up here, obviously people will be coming in just as we're just past the hour here, so the room will be filling up. But before we dive into the training, does anybody have any questions they wanted to cover before we where's the AI Legacy Inner? Austin's asking in the chat here, where is the AI Legacy Inner dashboard? The AI Legacy itself, there is a component within Teachable. However, the bulk is actually set up through Go High Level itself. So all the automations, the systems, the processes, that's all within Go High Level. And the way, if you haven't managed to get that into your Go High Level, the welcome email that's sent over to you, there are snapshots that you can import, and those bring the systems over. If you haven't received email, Austin, check your spam folders because it had multiple links in it. So it meant that a lot of these emails were going to spam for that reason, because there's so many links for snapshots and such. So let me know, Austin, if you received the email or not. And obviously, if not, we can get it taken care of. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm looking. I think I found it on the second scale certified dot teachable.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. That's like the there's SOPs and such in there, but the main aspects you're looking for are going to be within Go High Level itself. That's where all the systems are pre-built.
Okay, and I don't even have Go High Level, so I guess I need to get that, huh?
But remember, you get it with the lab anyway.
Okay.
So within your Teachable account, you'll see a program in there that's titled Accessing Your Agency Website. Within that program, there's a form you complete.
Okay.
It'll actually give you a Go High Level account.
Okay.
Without paying for it and such.
Okay, I need to get that set up then. Thanks.
No worries. Yeah, you'll find a bunch of stuff in there. A lot of stuff. All right. All right. Does anybody, Phil, you got a question?
I do. Actually, I think I got my first 40 emails away this morning. So I don't know if sorry, I just got here just as you were asking if we got the email, and I don't know for what, but I'm getting the emails for this, but I haven't got anything else. And since you first started sending me the emails and having issues with my account, I switched it over to Google Workspace. So it should be more reliable now.
Yeah. Don't worry. That's for Austin. It was just the initial email as well, making sure, because it wasn't your email was strange because it just bounced a lot for some reason. But to be honest with you,
I've been having a lot of problems with it's Host Papa. It's a Canadian company, and I'm thinking they're not quite got the same speed as some of the servers. So,
well, I mean, it could be to do with the links in the emails as well. It has, that email had a bunch of links in it because it's unavoidable to have, so you could access things. But as a result,
but it wasn't even. There wasn't even anything in spam or anything.
No, yours for some reason it just. But sometimes I've seen that before, where it just blocks the email completely rather than sending to spam. So I think maybe it was to do with the links and it just blocked it.
Got to send me an email that I can respond to and make you my friend first.
That always helps. But yeah, so it should work as long as you're getting these emails. If you ever don't receive, I guess it's hard to know if you don't receive something.
Well,
but,
I'm getting the email for I got the email for this.
Mhm.
Like I'm getting them from you.
That's coming directly from my email account, whereas
From your email account. Yes.
the support ones, I have a funny feeling.
The support ones. Well, I got the support ones because I was getting when I asked a question about the hyper personalization thing.
Mhm.
That was a good back and forth, so that was working.
It must have been the links. It has to have been, just because there were multiple links in our email.
So I got one off.
Yeah, has to have been that. Must have been. So, I mean, I think again, it was unavoidable, to be honest with you. There's no way we could, unless we sent out multiple emails, I guess. But then it would just get messy, because you'd find one and then not have the others. But yeah, I don't see that being too much of an issue going forwards, because normally we don't send that many links. It's just that one scenario. So
that was a lot of links. Anyways, no, I got it all ready to go, and I got 40 off this morning. So does your workflow, does that keep sending to the first 40 until that's done, or does it keep going through the list?
both of them. What it will do is the first 40, it will actually push on to email number 2 and then email number 3. So it's a sequence of emails, and it depends how you have tagged, or how did you send?
I just did the tags that you said, the hyper personalized tags.
Did you do more than 40 of them, or did you bulk?
I've put almost 1,000 in.
Perfect. Okay. So what it will do, it will just keep sending and pulling 40 or 30 or 40 from the list each day and pushing them through the system, and then it sends follow-up emails to the existing people in the flow. You with me?
So that's after it's gone through the whole list?
No, as a moving process.
Okay.
Every 2 days it will move. So the first people get the first email. 2 days later they get the second email. 2 days later, third email.
Yeah, that's the flow, but I wasn't sure how that would be affected by having so many contacts in that flow.
It just queues them. It queues them at the top, then filters them through.
Cool.
Like that. So that's
all right.
All right.
That's all I have questions for. Thank you.
No problem. Does anybody else have any questions before we dive in? Feel free to ask whatever you need. I'll also open it back up at the end of this training as well. But anything anybody wanted to ask? Give you a few seconds. No? Okay. So, like I was saying, this training is going to be a bit different in the sense that we're diving into what actually works in December, how we present things, how we pitch things, how we position things. It's very, I'd say it works for December with pushing into the new year, people delaying decisions. I'm going to wait till the new year, that kind of thing. Works very, very well for this. And generally speaking, probably for January itself too. Now, as ever on these calls, I am going to be on a different tab than you are. I'm going to be on the tab of the slides themselves. So if you do have questions, just unmute yourself and speak over me. It's perfectly fine. It's not a problem. I just can't see the chat. So do remember, if you have questions, just talk over me. It is absolutely fine. All right. So, and also I think sometimes these slides distort, so I'm going to be flipping back and forth. If you can't see the slides at any point, because I think when I'm on this tab, I think it distorts on your end. So I've got to switch back here. I think that's the case. Anyway, we will dive in. So the big question is always, do people buy in December or do they wait for the new year? Do they wait for the holidays to pass by? Right? We've all heard it before. I'm going to wait until the new year. It's such a common occurrence, right? And it's something people think things don't happen in December. Nobody moves forwards. That's actually not true. It's quite far from the truth, to be honest with you. Now, this December in particular is a little bit different, and there's a good reason for that. It's to do with the market. It's to do with what we have seen this year. It's to do with the attitude in the market itself. So things are a little different. Now, my focus, I just want to double check that I'm on the right slide here. Okay, so my focus, some distortion in my slides here. My focus around December is getting people to take action with early movers and preparation buyers, right? That's usually what I do. It's a bit different this year. That's not what we're going to be doing. But normally what I would do is if they move forwards right now, they would save $1,000 or similar, right? I'd incentivize them to take action right now rather than wait until the new year. This has worked well over the years to get people to move, to take action. Basically the early bird discount, right? However, this year it's a little bit different, and there's a reason for this. Customers buy through optimism, not fear. Fear does not encourage movement or decision making. We do not want to put them in a position of fear, being afraid, scarcity, right? Scarcity marketing works to some extent where there is a deadline, but people, they don't want to be in that position. They do not purchase when they're afraid of things. And markets move through stages of uncertainty. And 2025 has been an exceptional year for uncertainty. You've seen so many things happen globally. Honestly, probably since 2021, it has been relatively turbulent all around the world, really. It has been volatile. And 2025 has been unexpectedly volatile. We've seen things we didn't expect to happen. We've seen things that were said to happen that we didn't believe they would happen and actually, be put into place. It happened. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it has had a lot of impact and consequence. What does this actually mean? This basically means we need to move the prospective clients into a position of optimism and excitement. We have to control the narrative. There is huge opportunity in the market right now. We just need to show the client the opportunity, right? We want to move them from the position of fear, from scarcity thinking, from inaction, analysis paralysis. We have to move them from that position into the position of optimism. Now, when things are good in the economy, we often move into abundant thinking, right? We've all heard that before. We move into abundant thinking. We're not going to get them that far. We're not going to be able to get them along the line that much. That's okay. But we don't want to start pushing them into, we've got to think money is no object and such. We have to play the game a little bit, right? We've got to stick in the middle. So you're always going to hear, I want to wait until the new year. But the reality is that's what every single one of their customers are saying as well. They want to wait for the new year too, right? Think about it, right? If they run a gym, everybody says, I want to wait until the new year. All of the gym owners' customers are waiting until January to start. They're going to get Christmas out of the way and such. Med spas, exact same thing. They don't go over the Christmas holidays. They push the decision to sign up until the new year. People don't move house over Christmas. Real estate, they push it down the line. Same with both plumbers and HVAC and things. You might get a bit before Christmas for people, coming over or emergency situations. But a lot of the non-emergency style stuff is pushed into the new year. So all of their customers are pushing things to the new year. So logically, they think, well, I should wait till the new year as well. But think about this. If your client, which is the business owner, waits for the new year, then they need to set things up in the new year. I'm just going to reduce the zoom here for you. I think it's, there you go. They have to set things up in the new year. There's always going to be a lag. There's going to be a delay in doing this. They could this could basically mean that they miss the first 2 weeks of the year and then only start ramping up for week number 4. They have to set things up, right? They have to think about the time it takes for someone to pay an invoice, right? Then it's onboarding, then it's setting them up, and then it's setting it live. Then they're busy, they don't send information over. Things just move and move and move and move. And that's perfectly normal. The onboarding process doesn't take long, but we've all been there. It takes people time to send their leads over or whatever the scenario is. It could be week 3 in January before they're actually live with anything they do. But that means they missed the surge, right? They've missed that surge of business in the first 2 weeks of the year. They predicted the surge in their own mind and in their own words. They have said, my customers wait until the new year. So they know the first week, the second week of January, even into the third week, they know things are going to boom. But yet, logically, they're not set up for it. They're delaying things. They're basically making sure they miss a really strong component of that surge. All of the customers waited in December. Then, when that new year hit, they started buying. Just because our client wasn't ready, so just because our client wasn't ready and didn't have the system set up or wasn't ready with their marketing and such, it doesn't mean the customer's going to wait for them and then buy. Not at all. Absolutely not. They're just going to go to someone who is actually ready. Right place, right time. This is how people win business from others, by simply being in the right place at the right time. So basically, by not getting ready right now, your prospective client runs the risk of missing that surge and losing the momentum and then getting off to a terrible start. So what we're doing here is I'm positioning. You start to see how I build the position, right? I use their own words, not necessarily against them, but I use their own belief as the fact behind the next logical decision. They are saying that all their customers are waiting. So what they're, in theory, saying is that January is going to be a very busy time. It's expensive for them to miss that surge. If they're saying January is going to be a very busy time, would it be costly for them not to be ready for January? If their customers are waiting, surely they've got to do the work in advance to make sure they can capitalize on this surge in January. So they have to get ready now. They've got to get started with you now. This is the optimism, right? This is where we start to build the optimism. You'll see that I'm not leading too heavily. I'm telling you logically, as the business owner, as the person who has prospective clients, I'm telling you logically that if they miss the surge, it's going to hurt. But I'm not going to be talking about it negatively to the end customer, right? That's not what I'm doing. I'm speaking about it optimistically. In volatile markets with drastic economic changes, uncertainty, and just overall turbulence, they cannot afford to miss these surges. They can't afford to miss it. The opportunity is there, but they've got to execute and be clinical when the demand presents itself, right? Think about it. When things are volatile, when things are turbulent, it means there's going to be a lot of change throughout the year. March might be pretty dry for them. This summer might be pretty dry for them. Like a gym owner, right? Med spa. This summer, when everyone goes on vacation, it's a lot quieter. But January is going to be a boom time. So they know the dry season is coming. So they've got to then capitalize by executing during the good season. So again, we're not saying, look, you've got to be terrified of this dry season. No, that's not what we're doing. I'm focused on capitalizing, making the calm season, the slow season, something to look forward to, because they capitalized on the good season. They boomed. They doubled their numbers than they expected in the good season, simply because they were ready. The opportunity is there. They can't afford to miss the surges. They have to execute, and they've got to be critical when demand presents itself. The start of a new year is a natural place for demand to show up. Do they really want to miss their chance? That's the question we've got to ask them. Right? Do they want to miss that chance? Or do they want to get into a position where when that demand moves into place, they can actually take advantage of it? Beginnings of years, ends of years, they provide natural demand surges. So you've got those people at the end of the year who want to tie up loose ends, and you've got those who want to start fresh when January comes around. It's organic, right? We're not manipulating this demand. It naturally happens. What I'm showing you here is how we take advantage of it. Now, think about car dealerships. They surge at the end of the year because they've got to hit their sales targets, right? If you go buy a car, and I know this because I've done it twice. If you go try and buy a car between the 25th and the 31st, there's a very good chance you'll get a lot of money off that car. You get a really good deal because they're trying to get units out the door to meet the year end or the end of year numbers, right? So they've got to hit their sales targets. And the systems that we provide can have an instant impact. Give me 1 second, let someone call here. The systems that we provide can actually have an instant impact on that year end. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how we twist and turn this to the different niches that we speak about. Car dealerships, they are pushing towards that year end. We can provide a system that delivers an instant impact, which raises their numbers. It lifts their numbers up. Med spas, you've got the year of self-care, right? They surge just like gyms because people want to start the new year off the right way. You might think that nobody operates at Christmas, though. That's not true. In the WhatsApp community, I mentioned this week that I went to the dentist, right? If anybody saw that. Now, why did I do it this week? Right, we'll get Christmas coming up. You think, why on earth would I do that? And it's because at the start of the year, I promised myself I'd get it sorted out. That's exactly why I did it. I didn't really want to go, but I put it off all year, and I said, look, I'm going to keep the promise to myself. Lots of people do that, though, right? They rush at the end of the year to get things done, to keep the promises to themselves that they made. The exact opposite is true as well. People get things done at the start of the year to start off on the right foot. It works both ways. These are the levers that we start to pull on. So when we're speaking to these customers, when we're speaking to these clients, these are the levers that we're working. The reality is people are always going to be afraid of making decisions, right? So let's think about this for a second. How many times have you heard before, I want to wait until the new year. I'll wait until January. I won't make a decision. Or maybe you've heard throughout the year, I've got to think about it. I've got to ask somebody else. I've got to do whatever before I actually make that decision. The reality is people don't want to make decisions. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. It's not something they enjoy doing. Decisions do have consequences. There's always a trade-off. So when we look at it, when there is that trade-off, they're naturally going to delay the decision. They're going to push it back. They're going to avoid making that decision all the time. But Christmas, New Year, that gives them the perfect excuse to do it, right? It gives them the perfect reason. Oh, I can wait till next year. It's fine. I'll take it easy at Christmas. Then I'll make the decision at the end of the year. So naturally, people are going to try to do this. But there's ways that we get around it. They'll try to do it, and they'll use it as the perfect excuse until we present it logically for them. Now, you might think, okay, but if I speak to a Botox clinic or a gym, January is going to be their busy period. People will naturally come in and they won't need the help. But like I mentioned a few moments ago, just around the corner, you have this slow season for a med spa, this slow season for a gym, which is typically, I guess it comes into probably June, July, August, right? It's slower for them because people do go on vacation. They're not as motivated. They have been for their vacation potentially, and they don't have that same incentive anymore. It's just the lag period that, things, it happens every year for these industries. It's going to be slow for them, no matter what. They cannot control it. People, they can push aggressively during those periods, but they're still going to have drop off no matter what. They can't control it because it's nothing to do with them. It's all down to human behavior. People do other things in the summer. So how do we position this, right? And again, I'm showcasing this because these are the types of conversations that you're going to have. We position it by capitalizing on the prime period. We have to make sure that January, February, even March booms for them, right? We've got to kill it, absolutely crush it in those periods of time. That's going to make their slow season so much more stable. Usually what happens in these types of companies is they fear the slow season. They're terrified of it, right? Because they know that they're not going to make that much money in that period of time. They expect it to happen. If you think about roofers, most of the time, roofers will make their money in the summer. The winter seasons are slow. If they don't make their money in the summer, then especially the further north you go, where the weather does have a big impact, it's terrifying for them, right? Because they've got to capitalize. If you don't have that good summer, then they're going to really struggle for the 6 months of winter. Storm repair, if they don't capitalize in the shoulder seasons where it's stormy, then they're going to struggle. Every market has these periods where there's going to be a little bit drier. Most markets are not consistent year round. So we've got to take advantage of that. We've got to build understanding of this. We've got to know how to treat it. A great example is that during the times of boom, during the times where it is really, really good, we have to be clinical. The business owner has to kill it. The roofer in the summer has to crush it. The gym owner in January has to crush it. If they don't crush it in that period of time, they are going to start struggling. And your asset, your leverage, your angle of attack here is understanding that and making sure you present this to them, the fact that they've got to capitalize. And it's always a case of, if we can double what you're expecting to do in January to the gym owner, how are you going to feel about the slower season in July? You're going to feel a bit better about it, not quite as scary anymore. All of a sudden, when we can implement systems into their business where they can be clinical, where they can really drive double the results, they're going to start doing it. Not out of fear, but out of opportunity, right? Again, I'm coming back to that point. It's not about the fear of the summer season for the gym owner. It's about the opportunity of being able to enjoy the summer season, being able to not worry about the summer season. So it doesn't really matter if we come into different niches where it's going to be a really good season for them, right? Like gym owners in January, med spas. It doesn't matter. Even chiropractors, etc. Accountants, it'll feel very difficult in January because, well, depends obviously tax years, but they're typically very busy at this time of year. But this is when they should be executing. When tax season comes around and people get really, really busy and they start needing help, that's when they should be executing. Otherwise, they start floundering when it's difficult. So we have to frame it like this. This is how we get them to move, not through making them terrified of slow seasons, but by giving them the opportunity, the power, the optimism to enjoy the slow season because of all the hard work they did or didn't have to do because of our systems and our automations in the good times. That's the secret behind it all, right? Optimism, by focusing on the good things. We'd never, ever, ever in this period of time want to focus on the negatives. There's too much negativity around the world, far too much. We have to focus on the optimism. People buy when they're hopeful. They're hopeful of a better future, right? That's when people invest. That's when people buy. So when you think about economic uncertainty, right? Think about The times when it's really, really good and people invest in different things, they're more open to risk, right? They'll take more risks. They're more speculative is the word I'm looking for. They'll take more chances when times are really, really good. But that's because they're hopeful. They're hopeful that, everything around them is giving them that positive energy. They're hopeful, they're optimistic. It makes them speculate a lot more. The difference is when we move into turbulent times like right now, people aren't hopeful anymore. We can give them the hope, though. By giving them the hope, by giving them that excitement, by giving them the opportunity to absolutely kill it in January, that's where we start to make movement. That's where they start to close. That's where we can get into a position where we get them set up over the next 2 weeks. You make a lot of money before the end of the year, and they're ready to crush it in January when the January boom starts to happen. That's the secret in it, right? That's what we have to be doing. We transition them from afraid or waiting because they're scared to make decisions to understanding why they make the decision and what it delivers for them. So we have to prepare for it by making the good times so good that this slow season becomes a welcome break, right? That's the magic behind it. It becomes a welcome. They enjoy the slow season. Now, there are ways to position every single market out there. Each market has its own angle. If it is their slow season coming up, they've got to be more clinical, right? You might think, okay, well, gym owners, they're going to get a lot of business in January. They're excited already because it's coming into their high season. Well, what about industries where it's slow? How do we deal with that? What if we're in markets where people aren't spending as much money? Well, what do they have to do? They have to capitalize on every single opportunity they get, right? They can't miss one. They don't have an abundance of opportunity. So they've got to close every single prospect that comes in the door. So you ask them the question once again, are they going to put that up to chance and hope that they capitalize? They don't have an abundance of demand, remember, right? There's slim pickings for them in the markets. It's not their boom season. Or are they going to install systems that ensure they capitalize, that give them control? Would they rather have certainty that they're going to close, bring in customers and deals when it is slim pickings? Or do they want to leave it up to chance? If they leave it up to chance, they've only got so many chances. So there's ways we can flip this, right? It doesn't really matter if it's an abundant time in their market, like gyms and med spas. It doesn't matter if it's the midst of winter and we're working with roofers that have, or real estate agents where people aren't moving house as much in the winter. It's slim pickings for them. So they've got to be clinical. They have to close. Otherwise, they're going to make no money, right? They've got to take advantage of every opportunity. So would they rather increase their chances of capitalizing right now when it is harder and then thrive when it's good? Or would they rather struggle and then just try and make up for it when it's good? So again, you see both sides of that coin there, right? We can capitalize on both of them. It's all about understanding the positioning and the future pain in the market. And this is what I call the pain prediction. It actually signals expertise to the prospect, because when we can predict their pain, right? When we speak to a gym owner and we can say, look, it's going to boom January, February, maybe into March, and then it's going to die off as the second June hits, July hits. It proves expertise instantly because we understand their market. Now, expertise doesn't mean you know everything. It's simply that you can predict their pain points. A roofer, they typically expect, again, I'm speaking mainly here about the further north you go. A roofer will typically work with, in areas that do get winter. They'll typically work the summer and then literally not work most of the winter. The majority of it, they don't have any work during that time. Real estate agents, people move house before Christmas, but not during it. They move house during the summer. Sales slow down at this time of year. We can predict their pain. gyms, med spas, they start to boom in January, it all slows in the summer. So by simply understanding their pain and predicting their pain and what they're going to go through, we can demonstrate expertise by simply stating those points. So when we're all thinking about testimonials, reviews, etc., when you can demonstrate expertise like that, when you can understand the market, which is pretty standard, right? Every market, every market follows a cycle. Once you understand those, you can demonstrate expertise. You don't need testimonials. You don't need reviews, because this keeps the conversation away from diving into, oh, well, who have you worked with in the past? It keeps it so far away from that. They don't even ask that question because you speak confidently about their market. But that's all preparation work, right? That's just the work. When you look at the sales scripts that you have, those sales scripts already predict the pains in the market for you. So you will sound as if you have specific expertise in every market without even trying. And that's what's going to take you away from needing those reviews and testimonials. But anyway, I digress onto reviews there. We have to go into pain prediction. It's like we know their problems before they know their problems, which creates immediate trust. It also puts them into a position where they feel like they can operate without our guidance. If we know what they don't know, if we have already prepared for what they do know but haven't prepared for yet, like a gym owner is not preparing for summer yet. They're just probably recovering from last summer. So we're preparing them, or we have already prepared. We've already thought about it for them. We've done the hard work. We've done the thinking for them already, which means they can't operate without us. They'll feel this attachment. They'll feel like they need to rely on us all the time. This puts you in quite a position of power. Now, the biggest mistake people make is by trying to do the same thing over and over and over again without understanding the timing of the markets. If we simply adjust our sales process to the timing of the market, all of a sudden, you start to win, right? You start to close deals, even when other people are struggling, even when they can't close deals, even when they're getting pushed into next year. You know how to do it because you've got the pain that you can leverage. You've got, when it's their boom time, making it so good that their inevitable slowdown period becomes a welcome rest. If it's their slow season, it's making sure they're clinical, they can execute. If it's waiting until the new year, and that's the problem they're going to put in front of you, I want to wait until the new year, it's making sure they're ready to take advantage of the new year surge that their customers operate with. So it doesn't really matter what that prospect says to us. It doesn't matter the story they tell us. We can position it any way to flip it into optimism, into hope, into the good times every single time. All of these aspects allow you to put the prospect into a position where waiting does not make any sense. It actually hurts them. Now, I'm positioning this to take advantage of opportunity. For businesses that are naturally slow during this period, I'm not telling them, if you don't do this, your business is going to fail. I'm not going to put them in that position of fear. I'm saying, do this because it will maximize the number of sales that you make and flipping it to a positive. For businesses that are busy in January, I'm not striking fear about the slowdown period. I'm positioning it where they look forward to that slowdown period, giving them hope. I'm giving them optimism for the future. For businesses that wait until January, I'm not positioning too heavily where they miss the demand and explode. I'm positioning where they can take full advantage of the demand by being ready. I'm building in optimism every single time. Now, this is an important psychological part, or market psychology. When markets are volatile and uncertain, people attach and respond to optimism. We need to create optimism in the market. Think about this example. Studies have shown that during times of economic volatility, people actually attach more closely to Christmas. You can research this on Google, right? If you look at it, the more depressed somebody is, the earlier they put their Christmas tree up. Now, obviously, that's not the case for every scenario, of course, and it's just based on the law of averages. The more depressed or the more a society struggles, the earlier they put those Christmas trees up, the earlier they start celebrating. Why? Because it brings them comfort, hope, and joy, right? It makes them happy. When you start to see Christmas adverts on the television happen in October, which we did this year, if you notice that, we did see them in October, it means that society as a whole is struggling. I'm in the UK right now. You have I think it was November, the November budgets where they basically increase the taxes and such. You get that happening in November. The energy bills skyrocket in November, December when it gets a bit colder. Electricity bills, etc. All of it skyrockets. It's darker, it's colder, bleaker. So when things are difficult, they start putting Christmas earlier and earlier and earlier because it gives people hope. It gives them joy. Now, in general, people don't feel comfortable. Everything is negative. So they attach themselves to the positive. They hang on to that like nothing else. And it's all psychological. They're looking for that hope. They're looking for someone to tell them it's okay. They're looking for someone to numb the pain, essentially, right? And it's the same. It happens. If you look at the cycles, if you look at 2008, you'll see the patterns happen again and again and again. When people move into pain, they hold on to things that make them happy, right? Anything that this is why they also spend more on vacations, which doesn't really make sense, right? If things are tighter, why do they spend more on Christmas? Why do they spend more on vacations? Because it makes them happier. Even though there's a longer term pain going forwards, they do it because it makes them happier. Well, the same rings true in business. With volatility, we need to look at that psychology. We've got to think, okay, if it's volatile, if it's uncertain, if it's turbulent, we have to create that optimism. We cannot fearmonger. We cannot scare them into doing something. We have to create the optimism. And when you do that, they start responding to you. This is the secret to it. This is how we sell, right? We have to create that optimism. And it's all about building the optimism around the current market conditions, which of course does change with every single niche. Now, this next part is very, very important. It's something that it might hit home. You might be able to relate to this. Real estate agents really, really struggle in downturns. When things go badly for them, they really don't know what to do. They don't know how to make up for it. They've got no idea what they have to do. They don't reposition themselves. Well, the ones that struggle don't. If property prices are on the way down, the real estate agents will still hang on to the fear of missing out, right? They're going to say, oh no, we're not in a bubble. Property prices are not tumbling. They're going to keep rising. You better get in now. If you don't get in now, you're going to pay more in 18 months' time or 6 months' time. It's the same thing. And honestly, it drives me nuts when I hear this because you think they just have no other strategy behind it. They don't know what to do. They're just denying what's actually happening. They're denying reality, to be honest. So they will always claim you're going to miss the wave. Property prices are still going to rise. Every time there's a bit of volatility, every time they see a drop, nope, they're not dropping. The property prices are not dropping. It's still going to keep rising. They create fear around it. And what it does is it actually builds, it has the negative effect, the reverse effect. It builds distrust. They deny the downturn. They basically say it's not happening. In the good times, they get away with it because, yeah, okay, property prices will rise. If you wait, you are going to pay more. So they get away with it. but then they start denying what's actually happening, right? And it creates this distrust. Whereas the ones that are successful, what they do is they flip the narrative into selling from the opportunity. They do a lot better. They speak about taking advantage of a downturn instead of denying that there is a downturn. Think about what actually, you've all heard the statements, the phrases of people, millionaires are made in recessions. What is it they do? They buy undervalued or distressed assets, and then the value, of course, increases, right? That's basically, there's a pattern. I mean, back in 2008, that's the typical pattern. They didn't deny that the market was down. They just took advantage of it. So basically, when it comes to real estate, if they were simply honest, instead of denying the volatility, of denying the market conditions, if they just owned it and they flipped it to the opportunity, the hope of, okay, look, things are struggling right now, but there's hope, there's opportunity, because you can buy the distressed asset, you can buy it on the way down, and then you're going to succeed when it goes back up. But again, think back to what it actually is. It creates hope. It creates the optimism. It creates the excitement. It's not fear-mongering. It's not stressing them out. It's none of that. We're also not denying anything. Are you saying they're buying distressed, Vince, or are you saying that they're buying distressed? Yeah. Sorry, for anyone that can't see the chat watching the recording, Vince was saying that BlackRock is doing that, buying the distressed assets right now, and yeah, that's actually true. I've seen a lot of news about that. Actually, they're buying a lot of distressed assets and also selling them to themselves, which I've seen as well, which increases the value of the properties around them. So they're artificially inflating that market. But anyway, so basically, it's all about the optimism. It's all about the excitement, driving it up, making sure we're never selling from a point of fear-mongering. Believe it or not, you've all seen those countdown timers, right, on offers. Well, I mean, I guarantee you pretty much everyone on this call has seen those before, where it counts down to a deadline. The customers that come in because of that countdown timer, this is why we never ever use them, because I don't want, we'll use a deadline because things that have natural deadlines, but we never use those clocks that count things down. Why? Because it actually brings in the customers that are buying because of panic, because of fear of missing out, because of scarcity, rather than the ones that are buying from the optimistic, hopeful standpoint, which is a much better position to be in, right? So you never, those things, they work because they do drive fear, but it creates future problems. We don't want to be doing that. We're not going to go down the path of create or selling through scarcity. We're going to sell through opportunity, optimism, and hope. So when it comes to actually selling in December, there are 3 golden rules. Number 1, we must look at the market and understand their demand cycle. Not every market is the same. Far from it. Just like we were saying, gym owners, boom, January. Med spas, boom in January. Dip when it comes to July. Roofers, dip when it comes to December, January, February. Boom when it comes to April, May, June, July, August. Storm repair, dips when things are calmer, where the weather's a bit more stable. But during those transition periods when we do have storms, that's when they boom. If we look at car dealerships, people buy at the end of the, or they want people to buy at the end of the year, and people do buy because they get the best deals, because they've got to make end of year numbers. Again, understanding this information, knowing this fact, means you can speak to that prospect a bit differently. When we look at other markets, like chiropractors, same thing with the new year, right? They get things taken care of because they don't want to live in the same pain for the rest of the year. But when they're walking around in the sunshine in the summer, having a good time, they're a bit looser, a bit more mobile, that's their slow period, right? They start to struggle. in those periods of time. Every market has its own characteristics, every single one of them. So the difference is every one of them can still be closed at this period in time. Every one of them will still buy from you. And yeah, exactly, Austin. Austin was saying in the chat again for the recording, there are also some good tax reasons for people to buy cars before the end of the year. Exactly. So especially if they buy, like Cadillacs, or where it was above the weight limit. What is I don't know what the exact weight limit is, but it's like there's a weight limit where you can write 100% off your taxes and such. So that's why you see people buying G-Wagons and things like that, because they meet the weight limit. That's the reason behind that. But yeah, so there's different seasons for them, right? There's a surge when people are trying to spend money buying different trucks at the end of the year because it reduces their profit for tax purposes. We have to understand that. When we understand these different opportunities, it doesn't mean there's a limitation. It doesn't mean we can't sell. It means we have to change how we actually sell. When we're looking at more corporate companies, let's say we're looking at consulting companies, they often buy at the end of December because they're preparing the budgets for January. So they do their analysis, they do their calls, they do their research November, December, and a bit of January, because they've got to finalize the budgets for the next calendar year. We've all got different characteristics here. We just have to work with them. Just like real estate, right? People are not moving house quite as much in the winter, but they are moving a lot more in the summer. So does the real estate agent want to just sit and struggle during the slower period of January, February, March? Do they want to just sit and struggle? Or do they want to ensure that any deal that does come across their desk, they close on? Do they want to ensure that during slow periods, they can reactivate their lists, their customer bases, and actually close the deals with customers that are ready to go in that moment in time? So again, it's not about having this magical process for selling. It's all about that specific market and understanding how we can actually position it. How do we take what we have? How do we take the logic, the reality of their market? We don't deny it. We fully accept there are ups and downs in every market. We fully accept that real estate is slow in January or just before Christmas. We fully accept that. We take advantage of that. We fully accept that consulting companies are not going to buy in October when it's a race to Q4, at the end of Q4, or hit the numbers. We accept that they're going to buy November, December, January. We have to ebb and flow with these markets. Once you understand that, once you understand what that particular market is, things become a lot easier because it demonstrates expertise instantly. And all the sales scripts, everything, they're all engineered so that we can tap into the reality is that we always have the same core problems, right? They either want to drive things forward because times are good, or they want to make more money from what they already have. There's two different aspects there. We can just flip between those two different aspects. We just change which one we focus on. We just look at, okay, if the gym owner is booming right now, we're going to help them drive forwards and make the slow times good. That's one of my favorite ways to position it, right? What would you rather? Worry about the slow time, and it coming up is guaranteed you're going to have it because you can't control it, Mr. or Mrs. Gym owner. You cannot control that, so it's going to happen. Do you want to be terrified of that happening, or do you want to look forward to the rest because you made enough progress during your high season, January, February, March, where you don't have to worry about it anymore? So you see how we reposition it, right? We just tweak what we're saying to these business owners based on the time of year. And if we think about their market as like a graph where there's peaks and troughs, if we look at it as which part of the graph are they on? Is it a boom time or is it a slow season? It's never really going to be in between. Is it boom time or slow season? When it comes to pushing on to January, well, okay, if it's going to be a boom season, are you going to wait until the third week in January to take advantage of it. Mr. and Mrs. Client, you've told me that all your customers wait until January. So that tells me January is going to be pretty hot for you. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So do you want to wait until the third week of January to take advantage of that? Or do you want to take advantage of it from the first week in January? Well, I don't want to miss any of it. So the first week. Okay. Well, in that case, we have to get ready now. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. So again, we pull that decision forwards. And it's not because I'm promising crazy, I'm not making stuff up here to say they've got to do it now, or they've got like a discount or a fast action taker discount. No, it's logical. It's you want to take full advantage of this, so we have to take action now. We've got to put the systems in place right now, or we're not going to be able to do that. On the flip side of that, it's okay, so your slow season is in January. Okay, so in that time, you've got to be clinical. You've got to close every deal that comes across your desk. Do you want to wait and struggle the first few weeks, twiddling your thumbs as the new year crosses by and you move into the new year and you don't have that momentum? Or do you want to make sure that every deal that comes across your desk actually closes, that you're reactivating all the old leads you spoke to last year to get them going in this slow season? Do you want to take advantage of that from the first week of the month? Or do you want to wait and struggle? Which one? Well, I want to take advantage of it immediately. Well, we have to get ready now. It's the perfect setup time. And this is how I always position it. It is the perfect setup time. In this period of time, things are slower. Your phone is not ringing quite as much. People are enjoying the holidays. They're spending time with family. This is when we get set up. This is when we do it. We get ready for the boom. We get ready to be clinical, depending on which side of the market they're on. Number 2, second golden rule, we must sell from a position of positive opportunity. It's never, ever fear-mongering. It's never scarcity. It is always positivity. There's far too much negativity in markets. On the news, every time you put it on, right, there's a negative story. Every single time. No matter what channel you put on, there's something negative. And the reason for that is actually because people, some of the biggest communities are often the poorest communities, right? They stick together the most. They've got the biggest sense of community in the more poor areas. So it's because those people collectively, or they come together through shared struggle. That's why news outlets focus on that, because it riles people up. It gets people to collectively come together and watch. It's something they can relate to and connect to. Negativity. So there's so much of that. That's what you're going to see everywhere. We cannot fall into that camp. The reason we can't do that is because, like I said earlier, people do not make decisions based or from a position of fear. They only make decisions in a position of not necessarily abundance, but moving towards abundance into hope, ambition, opportunity. That's when they start making decisions. If they make a decision scared, that's when you're going to have problems. That's when you're going to have problematic clients, because they're scared. We've got to move them away. So we always sell from opportunity. And if someone does default to the negative, I would not sell them. I don't sell them, ever. It has to always be opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. That's the key. Sell the hope, or sell from a position of hope. And it doesn't have to be abundance. It can simply be, instead of saying, look, when we'll go back to the gym owner example, instead of saying, look, it's going to be very quiet in July, you're going to struggle then, we better make this good. No, it's, do you want to enjoy the period where it's quieter and actually look forward to the break because you were so busy in January, February, March? Simple framing change. And we go from, this is going to be terrible, you better do something about it now, to let's make it so you enjoy that period of time. That's how we sell from opportunity. And number 3, we must not deny reality, but reposition it. We don't want to deny that it's their slow season. We don't want to say, yeah, we'll get sales no matter what. It doesn't matter the time of the year, or like real estate. Oh, it's not a property bubble. It's not, the prices are going to keep going up all the time. No, that builds distrust. Trust you. We have to reposition reality into opportunity. So again, the slow season, if we can, instead of saying, oh, well, it's the slow season right now, it's going to be a struggle. If we can make the slow season better, think how good the good season is going to be for you. Because you've got all that pent up energy. You've got all that momentum pushing forwards. When the good season hits, you're going to be so warm, you're going to be on fire, that you're going to close more and more and more deals. The good season is going to become a great season as a result. Your year as a whole is going to be amazing instead of good, because in your times of struggle, you still made money. So again, I'm not moving from a position of fear of, it's a bad season. It's look how good we can make this as a result of reality. I'm not denying reality, as a result of reality. So we don't deny it. We leverage it, because in the gym world, July, they're going to have that wave of cancellations. That's going to happen whether they like it or not, simply because of summer. So we've got to make sure in the gym scenario, just to connect it to an example, we've got to make sure that January, February, March is unbelievably good for them. They take advantage of every opportunity so they can then enjoy the slow season. Imagine you spoke to a roofer and you said, what if we made this slower season great so that in the summer you could make it really great, crush it, and then next winter, when the winter comes around, rather than worrying about the struggle, rather than trying to survive and get through the winter, which is actually what a lot of them do. They try to make their money in the summer and then just hang on until the winter. Believe it or not, a lot of them actually go into government support in the winter months. That's very, very common, especially in the northern countries. Very common for them to do. So instead of having to do that, what if they could just enjoy it? What if they could take that time off to relax? What if they could just enjoy that because they made the year so strong as a result? Let's flip how we view this. So instead of fearing those times, we have to look forward to the opportunity, to the hope side of things. Now, the key takeaways here when it comes to selling in December. Number one, we need to be ready now before the new year. Otherwise, they're going to miss 2 to 3 weeks of that boom time. Why would we want to do that, right? Why would we ever want to miss 2 or 3 weeks of their good season, their high season? No, we don't want to do that. So we've got to set up during the quieter times. Set up when all of their customers are enjoying their time. Set up in that period of time. Then we've got to tailor to cycles. So we've got to understand the different periods the client goes through. Boom cycles, times when it's quieter naturally. Every market will ebb and flow to some extent with these periods of time. We have to understand and not deny them. We don't want to say they don't happen. We have to understand that they do happen, what it means, and every market has their own cycle. But the good news is a lot of the sales scripts actually understand these types of cycles. It does mention, for example, storm repair, right? Shoulder seasons, when weather changes and it can be quite stormy. That's when those companies will boom. This is what we have to do. Third, we've got to sell optimism. So in volatile markets, people are paralyzed by fear. They don't make decisions. So we have to position the solution as that light, as the hope, as the positive opportunity, the thing that moves them forwards, that excitement, right? We've got to drive that excitement forwards, because we won't be able to get them to a position of abundance. Of course not, because the market doesn't tell us that. But we can get them to a position of hope and excitement. Then the fourth point here is to make booms exceptional. So during those peak seasons, we have to make it so that the revenue buffers are large enough to make the slow seasons actually enjoyable. Right? Imagine being able to take a break, like for us, a lot of the time, and for a lot of people on this call, summer is a time where you want to enjoy it, right? You want to be able to take some time off. You want to enjoy it with family or go on vacation or whatever. You can only do that if things are really, really good, right? You can only do that if you have prepared in advance, if you basically earned it. That's the reality. Every market goes like this. That's how you position it. That's how you build hope during boom seasons. And finally, the final point here, when demand is low, they must execute. So roofers, when it is slow in January, they have to be clinical with all leads, right? That's the reality. They must close the deals. They must be clinical. They cannot let what is scarce opportunity slip away from them. So would they rather leave that up to chance, or would they rather install systems that make sure that every lead converts, that every lead is maximized, every prospect that comes in is nurtured? Would they rather have a system in place that makes that happen, or would they rather just leave that completely up to chance and have no control over it at all? A very good example of the fourth point there, the make booms exceptional, are actually accountants. Accountants usually depends, obviously, where the tax year is, tax year end is in your country. But for example, January, February and such, accountants are super busy, right? They can honestly become really annoying in the sense that they run to their deadlines despite you being the one that pays them and stuff. We won't go down that path, but more so, they're not searching for new clients because they're so busy. But what does that mean when summer hits and nobody wants to know them, right? They're slow. They're not getting paid. They're not getting those new customers. People are not looking for their help. The mistake they make is during the boom times, during the January, February, March times, they stop their activity. They've got so much demand coming their way, they turn it away. But what they should be doing is actually nurturing that demand so that it is ready for the slow season. That evens out their year. So again, understanding the market means we can speak to the market. We can communicate with the market. Everyone is different. The final example I'll give you on this one is your own lead generation. Think about the ebbs and flows. You run lead generation systems aggressively. You bring in sales calls. You bring in clients and customers. You then have to deliver for those clients and customers. Now, let's imagine you didn't have pre-built systems you can just plug in, right? Let's imagine that wasn't the case and you had to do everything yourself, like in the old days. Well, you would have to then service that client. You would have to take care of them. It all becomes too much. You stop the lead generation so you can focus on those taking care of those customers, those clients. All of a sudden, the slow period happens for you, right? Maybe it's peak summer where clients are on holiday. Things slow down, but your lead generation stopped. You haven't been nurturing it. You haven't been feeding that. All of a sudden, you're back in a position of struggle, and that cycle happens over and over and over again. You turn your lead generation on. It's good for a little while. You take care of the customer. It slows down. Repeats over and over and over again. I'm sure we've all been there before, right? We've all seen that. The difference is understanding these cycles, understanding when that happens, and knowing you're going to have slower seasons. So let's make sure those slower seasons during the summer period, July is an infamously slow month. During those times, you have enough demand nurtured, or you've done enough during the boom times where you get to enjoy July. You get to take a step back. You get to take a vacation. You get to take a rest. You get to enjoy it. It's the same psychology when it comes to working with those customers, working with those clients. This is the secret. It's never, ever about trying to just sell something. It's never about trying to say, well, I'll give you $1,000 off if you start today versus next month. No, because that flips the dynamic into you needing them versus them needing you. We're going to flip it we're going to have it so it's logically crazy to not execute right now. If they don't execute right now, it's not a case of they're terrified of the reality. It's, well, you're not taking advantage of your boom season. You're not taking advantage of when you have to be clinical. You're leaving it up to chance. You're choosing to struggle. You're choosing to suffer. Whereas we can solve that right now by setting up when things are quieter, so that when those calls do start coming in, you've got the system in place to take advantage of it. You're going to really experience the boom. You're going to shift into gear. You're going to capitalize. If it's your slow season, you're going to close more deals than you normally would, which makes your slow season 10 times better, which then gives you the momentum into your good season, and it builds this incredible year, all because of the one decision you made right now to get this set up before it starts to happen. And that's how we sell in December. All about flipping that position. But again, what was the secret? What did I do there? I built hope. Look how good it can become. I built hope into what I was doing. I didn't scare them. I didn't tell them it was going to be a terrible year. I framed it as, look how good this year can be. So that is exactly how we sell in December. Now, I'm going to open this up to everybody here. If you want me to go into different niche examples that you're working on, if you want some help handling any objections, or you want to throw some objections and we'll chat about them, or how you implement this yourself. So in terms of this, does anybody have any niches? Feel free to just ask the way that you wanted to cover, you want me to cover and chat about a little bit, or your custom situations, or whatever it might be. Now, Vince is saying in the chat here, it's like the old question, wouldn't it make sense to prepare for problems instead of waiting until the problem occurs? I created a podcast addressing that scenario. You prep for winterization in October, not when the blizzard hits. Yes, exactly, Vince. That's exactly what you should do. And that's the reality. We had a storm hit last night, and it was, now she'll kill me, but Alyssa had predicted not a hurricane, but just shy of hurricane force winds, and panic prepped everything in the horse fields. And I was calling her crazy. I hold my hand up. I was saying, where are you seeing this? Because she read the wind speeds in kilometers per hour rather than miles per hour. Or sorry, yeah, she read 60 miles per hour as, no, she read 100 kilometers per hour as 100 miles per hour. So she was panic prepping all these fields. And of course, last night, the storm did hit that nobody expected. And everybody else's shelters have the roofs flying off, whereas not hers, not Alyssa. So she prepped before her. But anyway, I digress. Does anybody have any examples they want me to cover, any niches they want me to dive into? Feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to ask in the chat. And Vince is saying in the chat, we've had our power go out 21 days. Geez, that's a lot, Vince. How are you even managing that? Are you using a generator or something? That sounds crazy.
Hi there. No, it's Ian here. I said a general, really, yeah. So my question would be: so these seasonal niches, let's say the roofer, he's only going to be busy in the summer. I mean, are they going to want to pay? If we're charging $1,000 or £1,000 a month, are they going to want to pay that in the quiet time? Is the question really? Is it going to be worth their while paying us that amount of money during the kind of the downtime? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Well, it comes down to, when we look at what that amount of money actually is to them, it is probably, I would say, a seventh maybe of one roof, the profit on one roof, somewhere around about there, 1/7, 1/10, around about there, 10% of it, let's say. Now, that's a per month cost. So if they have two roofs that they didn't have because it's quiet season, they've made, what would that be? Is that 18 times their money? 18 times their money, roughly? Yeah, around about there. 18 times their money, simply because they leveraged and didn't try to do nothing, basically. So it's about, imagine them being in a position where they close two additional roofs in the quiet season because they've paid a little bit of money versus struggling. So I would actually argue, yes, it would be the prime time for them to do it, because then when it is good season and they're effortlessly doing that, they've got an extra 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds to start the year off instead of starting from 10. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So it's just the positioning of it. It's just understanding that their alternative is that their costs still exist to some extent. Obviously, some of them, we're getting very nuanced here, but some of them do hire contractors and such, so the cost doesn't necessarily exist, but they still have to live, and they're still basically hanging on to what they did in the summer. So it's a position of, well, do you want to keep hanging on, or do you want to actually build something where you do have cash flow in the down times so that the good times become really, really good? It's like protecting your bottom to some extent, right? That's how we do it.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. And Vince says you bought a generator. Can't imagine. 21 days is quite a long time. All right. Does anyone else have any niches they wanted to cover? Even questions in general, feel free to ask whatever you ask. Anything?
Just a question, Neil. Would it be possible where you put the replay to maybe have the slides as well of the presentation when it's a master class like that? Just because, like, for example, here, for me, I did yesterday a training on a sales training to my partner on the whole system. Mm-hmm. And now this is a very important one to make her understand the psychology and how to adjust the language, Mm-hmm. So I need to do that as well. It will be ready, and even if it's just like the last one will summarize everything, slides, so that would be just helpful to be able mm-hmm. to work on that.
I can put I don't know if I can make them. The problem is these are hosted on a URL, so if I download mm-hmm. them, it starts things. I can put the URL them and make them accessible, but I don't know if I can make them downloadable because it would look.
Oh no, but okay, downloadable is not as long as it's accessible and I can show her, share that, show her, and discuss it, and like that. I have the right, guidance. That would be great. Super.
That's fine. No problem. And yeah, I mean, I'd say this is important for everyone to understand, and I'd say this is probably one of the biggest strengths in my world is being able to understand the psychology of someone, kind of predicting. I'm very good at predicting what someone's going to do. So this is why I've never struggled in December. Like, I've always managed to do quite well in December because you understand what they're trying to do. You understand what they're looking for before they do, and that demonstrates expertise, I suppose, by predicting. And Phil is asking.
But I think with 3 different angles approach is really is really powerful, I find. So yeah, because you can turn every situation they are in, you can show that it's the right time. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter what position they come from. It's all about, and honestly, this is a skill. It's like a muscle. If you work this muscle, when you're on that sales call, you can flip between them, right? And it's not really a case of everything. It's more you have these 3 set scenarios in your mind, and you know how to flip the scenario each and every time. You know how to flip it to whatever they're telling you, and you start becoming faster and faster and faster in your head. So in conversation, you can just jump to different markets. People ask me, I think it was the Q&A call last week, maybe we were on for about 2 hours here. I think it was last Wednesday. And people were asking me, they mentioned via email, they don't know how I jump from question to question. And that's what it is, though. It's because I'm able to process it very quickly just because of years of taking calls. I can flip very, very quickly. That's the same skill set. So when you see me do that, when you see that skill set, that's simply having that muscle worked where you can switch objections, you can switch niches, you can understand pain points because it's all the same. It's all the same ones. Phil, Sharif, are you asking the same? Are you asking for Phil the same where to find the workshop replays? Is that what you're asking as well? Just want to make sure, because Phil, they are within Teachable, they're under an area called weekly workshop recordings. That's where they are. I could potentially link it here. Let me see. Give me 1 second, folks.